Ever feel like your garden is working against you instead of with you? Like no matter what you do, something wilts, something rots, and the weeds just keep winning. I get it. But after more than 20 years of growing food, I can tell you there are vegetables out there that practically grow themselves. Today I am sharing 20 vegetables that are too easy to grow, perfect for lazy gardeners or anyone who wants a big harvest without the fuss. Stick around for number 14. It is a total sleeper hit, and the bonus tip at the end will make everything even easier. Zucchini is the first on our list. Honestly, the biggest problem you will have with this one is growing too much of it. Zucchini is legendary for being one of the most productive and low-maintenance vegetables on the planet. Direct sow seeds about an inch deep in warm soil after your last frost date. Give the plant full sun and decent drainage, and then basically stand back. Each plant will start pumping out fruit in about 45 to 55 days, and once it gets going, you will be harvesting every other day. One or two plants are genuinely enough for most families, and you will still end up leaving bags of zucchini on your neighbor's porches. Zucchini does well in USDA zones 3 through 11 and tolerates a wide range of soil conditions as long as it drains reasonably well. Black Beauty and Costa Romanesco are popular varieties, and both are widely available. Water consistently at the base to avoid powdery mildew on the leaves and harvest when the fruits are 6 to 8 inches long for the best flavor and texture. If you want easy, zucchini is the definition of it. Green beans are the second vegetable I want to tell you about. These are about as foolproof as gardening gets. Whether you choose bush beans or pole beans, the process is the same. Plant seeds about an inch deep directly in the garden after your last frost date. Green beans do not like to be transplanted, so direct sowing is the way to go. They germinate quickly, usually within 7 to 10 days, and bush varieties start producing in about 50 to 60 days. Pole varieties take a little longer but produce over a much longer season. Green beans fix their own nitrogen in the soil, which means they actually improve your garden while they grow and need very little fertilizer. They thrive in USDA zones 3 through 10, prefer full sun, and handle most soil types. Blue Lake and Provider are classic bush varieties that are incredibly reliable. Contender is another great choice that handles cooler temperatures well. Just keep them picked regularly, and they will keep producing. It does not get much easier than a vegetable that feeds the soil while it feeds you. Radishes are a personal favorite for anyone who wants fast results. If you are impatient, radishes are your best friend. Some varieties go from seed to harvest in as little as 20 to 25 days. That is less than a month from planting to eating. Sow seeds directly in the garden about half an inch deep, spaced an inch apart, and keep the soil moist. That is it. That is the whole process. Radishes grow in USDA zones 2 through 10 and actually prefer cooler weather, making them perfect for early spring and fall planting. Cherry Belle is the classic round red radish. French breakfast is a beautiful, elongated variety, and white icicle offers a milder flavor. You can succession plant every 2 weeks for a continuous harvest throughout the cool seasons. Radishes also make excellent companion plants and row markers because they pop up so fast. If you have never grown anything before and you want a quick win to build your confidence, start with radishes. You will be eating homegrown food before your other seeds have even fully germinated. Lettuce is ridiculously easy and incredibly rewarding. Lettuce is a cut and come again crop, which means you can harvest outer leaves while the plant keeps producing new ones from the center. Scatter seeds on the surface of moist soil. Press them down lightly and keep them damp. Lettuce seeds need light to germinate, so do not bury them. They sprout in just 4 to 10 days, and you can start harvesting baby leaves in as little as 3 to 4 weeks. Lettuce prefers cool weather, doing best in USDA zones 2 through 10 during spring and fall. In warmer zones, grow it through the winter months. It handles partial shade beautifully, making it perfect for those spots in your garden that do not get full sun all day. Loose leaf varieties like Red Sales, Black-Seeded Simpson, and Butter Crunch are the most forgiving and fastest to produce. You can grow lettuce in garden beds, containers, window boxes, or even a shallow tray on your kitchen counter. Water consistently, keep it cool, and you will have fresh salads for months. Cherry tomatoes are the fifth easy vegetable on our list. If regular tomatoes can sometimes be finicky, cherry tomatoes are their carefree, wildly productive cousins. These little powerhouses are more disease-resistant, more heat-tolerant, and more forgiving of inconsistent watering than their larger relatives. Start transplants in the garden after all danger of frost. Give them full sun in a sturdy cage or stake and watch them go wild. Cherry tomatoes thrive in USDA zones 3 through 11, and most varieties produce ripe fruit in about 55 to 70 days from transplant. Sweet Million, Sun Gold, and Super Sweet 100 are all outstanding performers that will bear you in fruit from midsummer through the first frost. Water at the base, feed with a tomato fertilizer every couple of weeks, and harvest constantly. The more you pick, the more they produce. Many cherry tomato varieties will even self-seed, meaning volunteer plants pop up the following year without you lifting a finger. That is about as lazy gardener-friendly as it gets. Cucumbers are another fantastic vegetable that practically takes care of itself. Direct sow seeds about an inch deep in warm soil after frost. Give them full sun, consistent water, and something to climb. Cucumbers will reward you with an abundance of fruit all summer long. They germinate in just 5 to 10 days, and most varieties start producing in 50 to 65 days. Cucumbers love heat and do well in USDA zones 4 through 11. Bush varieties like Space Master work great in containers and smaller gardens, while vining types like Market More and Straight 8 produce heavier yields on a trellis. Growing cucumbers vertically saves space, improves air circulation, and makes harvesting a breeze. The key to happy cucumbers is consistent moisture. So water deeply and regularly, especially once fruits start forming. Mulch around the base to retain soil moisture and reduce weeds. Harvest frequently when fruits are 6 to 8 inches long because overripe cucumbers on the vine signal the plant to stop producing. Swiss chard deserves so much more attention than it gets. Swiss chard is gorgeous, nutritious, and one of the toughest vegetables you can grow. It handles heat, cold, poor soil, and inconsistent watering better than almost anything else in the garden. Sow seeds directly about half an inch deep, thin seedlings to 6 inches apart, and harvest outer leaves as needed. The plant will keep producing new leaves from the center for months on end. Swiss chard grows in USDA zones 3 through 10 and tolerates both full sun and partial shade. Bright Lights is a stunning variety with rainbow-colored stems that looks as good in a flower bed as it does in a vegetable garden. Ford Hook Giant is a classic with thick white stems and deep green leaves. You can start harvesting baby leaves in about 30 days and full-size leaves in 50 to 60 days. Swiss chard rarely bolts, handles light frosts without flinching, and comes back strong after heavy harvesting. If you want a vegetable that just keeps giving without asking for much in return, this is the one. Kale is incredibly easy to grow, whether you love it or hate it in the kitchen. Kale is incredibly cold hardy, handling temperatures down to about 10 degrees and it actually tastes sweeter after a frost. Sow seeds directly in the garden about a 1/4 inch deep, thin to 12 to 18 inches apart, and let it do its thing. Kale thrives in USDA zones 2 through 9 and grows best in cooler weather, though many varieties tolerate summer heat surprisingly well. Lacinato, also called dinosaur kale, has gorgeous dark blue-green leaves with a bumpy texture and a mild, almost nutty flavor. Red Russian is another easy variety with tender purple-tinged leaves that are great in salads. Like Swiss chard, kale is a cut-and-come-again crop. Harvest the lower leaves first, leaving the center growing point intact, and the plant will keep producing new growth for months. A single kale plant can produce leaves from spring through late fall. In mild winter climates, it will keep going right through the cold months. Peas are just plain fun to grow. Peas are a cool season crop, so plant them in early spring as soon as the soil can be worked, even if frost is still possible. They handle cold soil and light freezes like champs. Sow seeds about an inch deep and 2 inches apart directly in the garden. Give them something to climb, even a simple string trellis works, and keep the soil moist. Peas germinate in 7 to 14 days, and most varieties produce pods in about 50 to 70 days. Sugar Snap and Super Sugar Snap are outstanding snap pea varieties with sweet edible pods. Oregon Sugar Pod is a reliable snow pea. Like green beans, peas are nitrogen fixers that enrich your soil while they grow. They thrive in USDA zones 2 through 9 and love full sun to partial shade. The harvest season for peas is relatively short, about 3 to 4 weeks, but it is an incredibly satisfying one. Pick pods frequently to keep the plants producing. Potatoes are genuinely one of the easiest things you can grow. If you have ever forgotten a potato in the pantry and found it sprouting, you have already seen how badly potatoes want to grow. Cut sprouted potatoes into chunks with 1 or 2 eyes each. Let them dry for a day and plant 4 inches deep in loose soil. As the plants grow, mound soil or straw around the stems. That process, called hilling, encourages more tubers to form and is really the only special attention potatoes need. They do well in USDA zones 3 through 10, prefer full sun, and are ready to harvest in 70 to 120 days. Yukon Gold gives you beautiful creamy yellow potatoes. Red Pontiac is great for boiling and roasting, and Kennebec is a classic all-purpose variety. You can even grow potatoes in bags, buckets, or straw bales if you do not have garden space. At harvest time, digging up potatoes feels like finding buried treasure, and one plant can yield 5 to 10 potatoes from a single seed piece. Garlic might be the ultimate set-it-and-forget-it crop. Plant individual cloves 2 inches deep with the pointed end up in the fall, about 4 to 6 weeks before the first hard frost. Then walk away. Seriously, that is most of the work. Garlic overwinters in the ground, sends up green shoots in early spring, and is ready to harvest by early to midsummer. It needs full sun and well-draining soil and thrives in USDA zones 3 through 8. Each clove you plant produces a full bulb of 8 to 12 new cloves, so you can keep replanting season after season and never buy garlic again. Softneck varieties are what you typically find at the store, and they store well for months after curing. Hardneck varieties produce delicious scapes in spring, those curly green shoots that are wonderful in stir-fries, pesto, and scrambled eggs. A light feeding of nitrogen-rich fertilizer in early spring and consistent moisture through the growing season is all garlic asks for. Stop watering when the lower leaves start browning. Harvest, cure in a dry, airy spot for 2 weeks, and you've got garlic that will last you through the winter. Sweet potatoes are way easier than most people think. All you need is a sweet potato from the store and a jar of water. Suspend the potato over the jar using toothpicks with the bottom half submerged. Set it in a warm, bright window and wait for leafy sprouts called slips to grow from the top. Once slips are 6 inches long, twist them off, root them in water, and plant them in the garden after the last frost. Sweet potatoes love heat and full sun, doing best in USDA zones 8 through 11, though northern gardeners can succeed with black plastic mulch and an early start indoors. Plant slips 12 to 18 inches apart in loose, sandy soil. They need 90 to 170 days to mature, but require very little attention during that time. Beauregard is a popular, reliable variety. The sprawling vines even suppress weeds as they spread, which means less work for you. One sweet potato can produce a dozen slips, giving you a huge harvest for zero cost. Peppers are remarkably low maintenance once you get them going. Start with transplants from a nursery or start seeds indoors 8 to 10 weeks before your last frost date. Once nighttime temperatures are consistently above 55 degrees, plant them in the garden with full sun and well-draining soil. Peppers thrive in USDA zones 4 through 11, and most varieties produce fruit in 60 to 90 days from transplant. Bell peppers like California Wonder are classic and reliable. If you want something even easier and more productive, go with hot peppers. Jalapenos, serranos, and cayenne are practically indestructible and produce heavily with minimal care. Peppers do not need much fertilizer, just a light feeding when they start flowering. Water consistently, but do not overdo it. Peppers actually produce better with slightly less water once fruit is setting. Harvest regularly to keep the plant pushing out new fruit all season. Beets are the one I told you to stick around for. A lot of people skip beets because they assume they are tricky, but they are genuinely one of the easiest root vegetables to grow. Sow seeds directly in the garden about 1/2 inch deep and 2 inches apart. Beet seeds are actually clusters of multiple seeds, so you will need to thin seedlings to about 3 to 4 inches apart once they come up. They germinate in 7 to 14 days, and most varieties are ready to harvest in 50 to 70 days. Here's the thing that makes beets a lazy gardener's dream. They are a 2-for-1 crop. You get the sweet, earthy root and the incredibly nutritious greens, which you can harvest before the roots are even ready. The greens are loaded with vitamins and taste fantastic sautéed with a little garlic and olive oil. Detroit Dark Red is the classic variety, while golden beets have a milder, less earthy flavor and do not stain everything they touch. Kioja beets have stunning candy-striped interiors that look incredible sliced raw in salads. Beets thrive in USDA zones 2 through 10, prefer cooler weather, and handle partial shade just fine. They are not picky about soil, tolerate light frost, and need very little attention beyond consistent moisture. Plant them in spring and again in late summer for 2 harvests a year. Spinach belongs in every easy garden. Like radishes and lettuce, spinach is a fast-growing, cool-season crop that gets in and out before the summer heat arrives. Sow seeds directly about half an inch deep in early spring or late summer. Keep the soil moist and you can start harvesting baby leaves in as little as 20 to 30 days. Full-sized leaves are ready in about 40 to 50 days. Spinach grows well in USDA zones 2 through 9 and actually prefers partial shade in warmer climates, which makes it ideal for garden spots that other vegetables would reject. Bloomsdale Long-Standing is a classic variety that resists bolting longer than most. Space is a smooth leaf variety that is great for salads. Spinach is loaded with nutrients, easy to grow in containers, and you can do multiple succession plantings through the cool seasons. The only thing spinach does not tolerate well is heat. So, time your plantings for spring and fall, and you will have no problems at all. Basil is technically an herb, but it grows like a vegetable and earns its place on this list through sheer productivity. Plant basil transplants or direct sow seeds after all danger of frost in a sunny spot with well-draining soil. Seeds germinate in 5 to 10 days and plants start producing harvestable leaves within 3 to 4 weeks. Basil loves heat and full sun, thriving in USDA zones 2 through 11 during the warm months. Genovese is the classic Italian basil, with large fragrant leaves perfect for pesto and caprese. Thai basil adds a different dimension to Asian dishes. The key to keeping basil productive is pinching off the growing tips regularly, which forces the plant to branch out and produce more leaves. When flower buds appear, pinch those off too, unless you want the plant to go to seed. One basil plant can produce cups and cups of fresh leaves over a single season, and you can root cuttings in water to create new plants for free. Basil is one of those crops that gives you maximum reward for almost no effort. Green onions deserve a spot here too. You can grow green onions from seed, from sets, or from the root ends of store-bought scallions. Drop root ends in a glass of water, and you will have new growth within days. Transplant into soil for a longer-lasting, more flavorful harvest. Green onions thrive in USDA zones 3 through 9, tolerate partial shade, and grow in just about any soil. They are ready to harvest in as little as 3 to 4 weeks from planting and take up almost no space. You can tuck them into the edges of garden beds, grow them in small containers on a windowsill, or scatter them throughout your vegetable garden as companion plants. Evergreen Hardy White is a dependable variety that overwinters in many climates. The best part is they need almost zero attention. Plant them, water occasionally, and snip what you need. Turnips are another incredibly fast, easy root vegetable that does not get nearly enough love. Sow seeds directly about half an inch deep in early spring or late summer. They are not fussy about soil, do fine in partial shade, and need minimal watering once established. Thin seedlings to 4 inches apart and harvest roots when they are 2 to 3 inches across for the best flavor and texture. If you have a patch of ground and a packet of seeds, you can grow turnips. Butternut squash takes some space, but the actual effort involved is minimal. Plant seeds directly about an inch deep in warm soil after your last frost or start indoors 3 to 4 weeks early. Seeds germinate in 7 to 14 days. Give the plants full sun, a decent amount of room to vine, about 4 to 6 feet, and consistent water. Butternut squash thrives in USDA zones 3 through 11, and most varieties mature in about 80 to 110 days. Waltham butternut is the standard variety, and it is rock-solid reliable. Once the vines get going, they shade out weeds on their own, which means less maintenance for you. Feed once or twice during the season with a balanced fertilizer, and keep an eye out for squash vine borers. which are about the only thing that can give this plant trouble. Harvest when the skin is hard and the stem starts drying. One healthy vine can produce 5 to 10 squash, and they store for months in a cool, dry place. Sunflowers grown for their edible seeds are the final vegetable on our list. I wanted to end with something that is not only easy and productive, but also brings real joy to the garden. Direct sow seeds about an inch deep after the last frost in a sunny spot with decent soil. That is it. Sunflowers germinate in 7 to 10 days and grow incredibly fast, reaching full height in about 70 to 100 days depending on the variety. Mammoth Russian is the classic giant variety that produces big heads loaded with plump, edible seeds. Royal Hybrid is another excellent choice for seed production with strong, sturdy stalks. Give them full sun and water occasionally during dry spells, but otherwise sunflowers are remarkably drought-tolerant once established. They do well in USDA zones 2 through 11 and grow in virtually any soil type. When the back of the flower head turns brown and dry and the seeds look plump, cut the head off with about a foot of stem attached and hang it upside down in a dry, well-ventilated place to finish drying. Then rub the seeds out, roast them with a little salt and olive oil, and enjoy a truly homegrown snack. Sunflowers attract pollinators to your garden, serve as a natural trellis for climbing beans if you want to get creative, and bring a smile to everyone who walks by. Growing them is about as easy and satisfying as gardening gets. All right, now here is a bonus tip that is going to change the game for you. If you want to make all 20 of these vegetables even easier to grow, the single best thing you can do is mulch heavily. I am talking about a good 3 to 4 inch layer of organic mulch, like straw, shredded leaves, or wood chips around the base of every plant. Here is why this makes such a huge difference. Mulch suppresses weeds, so you spend way less time pulling them. It retains soil moisture, so you water less often. It regulates soil temperature, keeping roots cool in summer and warmer in early spring and fall. And as it breaks down, it feeds the soil with organic matter, improving texture and fertility over time. Heavy mulching turns a high-maintenance garden into a low-maintenance one almost overnight. Pair this with drip irrigation or soaker hoses, and you have essentially automated the two biggest gardening chores, watering and weeding, which frees you up to just enjoy the harvest. If these gardening secrets have changed the way you look at your backyard, please subscribe and like the video. We are digging deep into the history and methods that help you grow a better future. Let's cultivate something amazing together. Our next treasure trove of tips will be opening very soon.